Just who is Anthony Joshua sparring ahead of his fight with Oleksandr Uysk? Give me 5 minutes and you'll find out. First up, Dempsey McKeen, the Australian heavyweight, unbeaten at 19-0. Literally has just walked off a plane and immediately into Anthony Joshua's training camp. So McKean doing a 6-month stint away from Australia, living and training in the United Kingdom. One of his first opportunities, join the Joshua training camp. McKean, obviously a big guy, 6'6.5", and he moves well. He's got good skills, a good jab, and this will be good activity, good rounds for Anthony Joshua, who obviously has brought together a whole bundle of Southpaws, a la like Oleksandr Uysk, to prepare for Uysk's style. Although, having said that, Oleksandr Uysk is one of a kind in a sense, because not many better than Uysk out there that are southpaw. So trying to bring together fighters from across the globe, and especially southpaw, which are kind of like hen's teeth at any real level, it's quite the job. So Joshua has pulled together a mix of amateurs and also professionals. Some of the professionals you may not have heard of before because they're either young in their careers or really haven't made too much of a mark just yet. But Dempsey McKeen, world-rated heavyweight with the IBF and also the WBO at this point. Good experience for him, and for Joshua, good, invaluable rounds. McKeen at 19-0 at the moment, as I mentioned. So the next sparring partner, and this is one of Joshua's main sparring partners for his camp, is the Afghani who currently resides in Germany, Shokran Parwani. So Parwani, 16-1, he's actually a cruiserweight, and it's no surprise that Joshua has had to dip down to cruiserweight to find guys that are nimble and quick, have got good skills, can use angles, and have got good footwork. And obviously he's going to encounter all of that against Oleksandr Uysk. So Shokran Parwani has been one of the mainstays of the Joshua camp, one of the main sparring partners. And so too the next guy, Viktor Jurk. So Jurk is a young German fighter, an amateur. He's just in his early 20s, big guy as you can see, but he moves well. He's got good skills. He's done a little bit at the sort of European level in terms of having a few accolades, but still pretty green himself. But the activity, obviously the length, the movement that he can give Joshua as a southpaw, invaluable. Joshua's brought a lot of these guys together, and I know some people may criticize and go, well, this guy here, he hasn't done much, hasn't proven much, but not everyone can be a superstar, especially when they're 20, 21 years old. But Joshua and his team have been scouring the world, and they've thought this guy is a good style matchup in terms of what he can offer and replicate of Uysk's. And currently Viktor Jurk 4-4 as an amateur. The next guy, Marko Milan of Croatia, and he's probably best known for a couple of reasons. One, he's a very good friend of Alan Babic's, but two, he was beaten by Fraser Clark just a couple of months ago, and that was what Clark used to qualify for the Olympic Games. And as we know, Clark ended up medaling in that one, getting a bronze medal. So I guess as the bonus for Marko Milan, who was very disappointed with not being able to qualify for the Olympics, he'd worked the full cycle to try get there. His consolation prize, as it were, was a trip to the Anthony Joshua's training camp, and him saying on social media, dreams do come true. So he is a good mover, he's got good skills, and this will also all be invaluable rounds for Joshua. And it's never going to be like for like. No one's going to exactly be able to replicate what Oleksandr Uysk does, because he kind of is one of those one-of-a-kind type fighters. But bringing together a good pool of guys who've had good pedigree in the amateurs is going to be very good for Anthony Joshua in his preparations. Another guy that's been in the Joshua camp, who's 3-0 as a pro at the moment, Vartan Arutyunyan, who is a Russian. So as you can see here, keeps low to the ground, good movement, speed, and all of this he's going to encounter against Oleksandr Uysk. And some of these guys you may not have heard of before or seen fight, but it doesn't mean that they aren't good at what they do. And I want to stress that, because I know some people will be rolling in saying that some of these guys are nothing, that are garbage, but these are very skilled guys and they've been brought in for a reason. Another guy who has been in the Joshua camp, but this was in the earlier portion of it before it really ramped up, was the Irish pro Thomas Carty, who's currently 1-0. Obviously, like a lot of these other guys, seasoned amateur, and he was giving Joshua some good rounds sort of in the May-June period. And the final guy that we're going to touch on who's been in the training camp, not just once, but multiple times across this training camp for Joshua, is the Russian or former Russian who lives in Bahrain now, Danis Latipov. So Latypov, he was there before the Olympics and then went to represent Bahrain and then returned after it. So obviously Joshua was liking the work that he was getting from the Bahraini fighter, and you can see here Joshua engaging with Latypov, giving him some tips. But a number of good former amateurs or guys who are young in their pro career who've bring a lot to the table, and bearing in mind that getting good southpaw work, not as easy as it may seem. And some people may say, look, you need to get guys like a Charles Martin or bigger name fighters, but you also have to factor in they've got to fight like Usyk to some degree or be able to mimic him. They've got to have good footwork, good foot speed, good hand speed, use angles. And this is what Joshua is bringing in a lot of these guys to do. What do you make of this? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.